Hey everybody, what's up? So I want to talk about one of my favorite movies. Unfortunately, I can't get to the movie itself. I've been moving stuff around, so where it's at is behind some other stuff I can't get to, which sucks. But it is actually called In the Mouth of Madness. If you've not heard of this, it's a film from '94. It's a John Carpenter movie, and from my understanding, is that it's part of a trilogy. The Thing. I have not watched yet. I know I'm bad. There's a lot of story behind that. Prince of Darkness, which I never heard of. Have that in my Netflix queue. And In the Mouth of Madness, like the Apocalypse trilogy. And basically, the premise of the movie is that there's a guy by the name of John Trent who is an investigator. This insurance investigator, and he has a friend who asks him, "Hey, can you help this company out?" And what's going on is their main author by the name of Sutter Kane, has disappeared. And so they want him to basically go looking for this dude. And they assign him this partner by this woman, Linda, who is Kane's editor. Yeah, real fun. So my favorite part is Trent is basically looking at these copies of this news books. It's like this Kane's an horror author, and he started looking at the cover. He's like, "Oh wait, it's like this fine thing," and he discovers the guy's basically holed up in New Hampshire. Now this is inspired by Lovecraft, and it would have been so much funnier if the guy was in Maine, because Stephen King was inspired by Lovecraft. And I'm going, why couldn't they do this? Why? So Trent and Linda, of course, go find this town called Hobbs End. And there's a lot of allusion to a lot of Lovecraft's work. In particular, one of the funniest things that I saw was he sees this painting, this horrible scene, and it's of a story called Pickman's Model. Loved it. It's hilarious. I know it's a horror movie. I shouldn't find this stuff funny, but obviously I do. And without going into too much detail, they find out you can't leave this town. Once you go in, you can't leave. So there's kind of like this big twist once they discover Kane and how things are going. It's like one of the things is when Trent meets up with his friend, this guy runs in with an axe and he's like, "Do you read Sutter Kane?" The guy's just nuts. Anybody, if it turns out, who read Kane's work just starts going ballistic. And I'm sitting there going, what the is going on here? And the name of the publisher, I have to find this funny, is called Arcane Publishing. A lot of Lovecraft's books are put out by this group called Arca. And there are some that aren't, depending on how they get the rights. And really, the interesting thing is that once they start to realize everything that's going on, it's really when you start seeing everything. The movie title, In the Mouth of Madness, really comes from a Lovecraft story called In the Mountains of Madness. Taking it from a perspective of somebody telling a story, I can understand why they choose The Mouth of Madness. Or in the case of when you see the last part of the movie where everything starts coming together, and it really starts making you question the reality of the movie. What have you seen that's real? What isn't? And One of the things about Hobbs End is all the people there are a lot different, because it almost seems like the secluded town where strangers don't come in that often. And it almost gives you this vibe of a lot of Lovecraft and some of his contemporaries' work, where you have these towns where it's secluded, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that people don't talk about, people don't want to mention, and it's really worth watching. I'm going to admit the reason why I haven't watched The Thing is growing up, and I know I've talked about this, but for anyone who wants to know, horror movies really weren't a big thing, especially, I wouldn't have been able to watch that. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all that stuff really wasn't allowed. So it wasn't until years later, after I discovered Lovecraft, I was working in this grocery store before DVDs, mind you. I saw it sitting on the shelf in the horror section at work, and I picked up that one in Necronomicon, which is also in VHS. And I would love to get Necronomicon. It is free on YouTube, where there's so much of an inspiration of Lovecraft's work, without some of the stuff that people would argue about. So it is very much a modern twist on a lot of Lovecraft's work. A lot of the questions of, reality, how, in a way, how things are bent so that evil will not equal, but it'd be, the evil will bring about an end. And especially because this is an apocalypse movie, yes, there is a weird ending to the movie and the madness involved in it. If you've never heard of Lovecraft, Cthulhu, the greatest of all the elder gods, well, he's supposed to be a priest, will destroy the world through madness. And that in itself really is what drives the movie. There's not a whole lot to talk about otherwise without really giving spoilers. And I don't want to do that because I really encourage people to go watch it. At some point, I know where Necronomicon is on a streaming platform, and I'm going to go watch it at some point, just so I can talk about it. But it's a great movie. If you really love different styles of horror, I encourage it. I really do. Even if you've not watched a lot of Carpenter's other stuff, go check it out. That's everybody. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.